Are you ready?
Hey peeps, how's it going? Today we got some more, I'm going to call them Detroit Drew rumors, because there's nothing really official saying that they are or that they aren't, but there has been some shady stuff that I have caught going on with this Pistons organization. For example, on the post-game show and a little bit on the pre-game show, they have talked about, are the Pistons willing to trade Blake and Andre? And over the years, it's really something they don't talk about too much on there. So these guys who work inside the organization and are close to some of the reporters, the players, coaching staff, front office people, if our own Fox Sports Detroit are talking about it, then certainly they have heard it from somewhere, because they don't really talk about it that much. It's very, very rare. They really only talk about, yeah, they need to be active here and there, but they don't talk about trading their own players. Very rarely does that happen. So it's got me thinking, man, have the Pistons secretly put Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond on the trade block? Or are they just making some calls and seeing what's available, which they should be doing? I mean, this team is not going to win an NBA championship. That's no surprise. I personally thought they'd be a 6th seed and at least be competitive in the first round, which is not asking too much. And they've been getting off to a shaky start. Injuries has been a huge problem, and we've talked about this the entire offseason. In almost every single one of my videos talking about trade rumors or a workout, at some point in the video I said the Pistons are just going to depend on the injuries. And Blake has not been healthy. Reggie's been MIA on the injury reserve for quite a time. He's due back any minute, but I haven't heard anything about him. So it's bringing the question, have they put Andre and Blake on the trade block secretly? Because that would be a pretty big newsbreaker in the Pistons world, at least. Maybe not the NBA world. But we have heard reports of several teams being interested in Andre Drummond, both in the Eastern Conference and the West. We really haven't heard too much about Blake. There was that one a while ago that the Heat would have been interested in him. Don't know if that's still the case. Blake's going to be the tougher sell than Andre, because Andre is an expiring contract. He is also a player who is in his prime. He's 26, so people are not going to have a hard time giving him a long extension. May not give him the super max that he wants, but they won't have a problem giving him a long-term deal. Blake Griffin, on the other hand, is a big contract and a big liability defensively and injuredly. Don't know if that's a word, but I made it a word. You can put that one in the dictionary. That Detroit Drew created that. Ugh. So the Pistons have shown two different sides of them. They have shown a good team and a bad team. And a lot of the losses that have happened against Charlotte, Washington, and Chicago, which, speaking of Chicago, I'm going to the game Saturday as we take on the Bulls. Hopefully we don't lose that one, so be sure to come out there and say hello to me. But those really show that this team isn't hungry, okay? Especially the other night against the Wizards with no Blake or Andre Drummond. That is the perfect time for some of these young guys to step up. They had several opportunities to step up, but they didn't care defensively. Now, give credit where credit is due. I just don't understand how Washington can be the top team offensively in the game, the top 4 offensively in the league, and dead last defensively. It doesn't make any sense, but we showed no heart defensively. Like, we weren't even trying to get stops. And then when we did get stops, we try to get too cute offensively, make a highlight reel play instead of just scoring an easy bucket. You can't do that with young guys. I mean, we needed to come out fast and hungry in all these games. You know, Blake and Andre played in most of them, but we don't look hungry enough against these teams. We don't. We play Toronto Wednesday night. I guess for you guys who are watching in the future, we did play them, but I expect this team to come out a little bit more focused and ready to go for that one. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, because they play up and down to their competition. Blake Griffin's a great leader for this team, so don't get it twisted. If we do trade Blake, they're getting a good leader, But it's tough because we rely so much on Blake. And when he's not out there and he's not healthy and he's not scoring, it hurts because he's not a great defender. He barely plays defense, he doesn't take that serious. And when you're your highest paid player and maybe your best paid player, right now he has not played like our best player this season, but he's been hurt. But when one of the guys on your team who is a top 3 player in the team, an all-star, he was a superstar 5-6 years ago, when he doesn't care defensively, it sets a bad example for this team because we have a lot of young guys playing. Just to think about the 2 starters and Bruce Brown and Luke Kennard. They've only been in the league for a couple of years. This is Bruce Brown's 2nd year. I believe Kennard's 3rd, maybe 4th. Whatever it is, they haven't been in the league that long. And when the top guy that they're looking up to, their leader, doesn't care defensively, it rubs off on them. Then you got guys like Christian Wood coming in off the bench. You're giving Mahauk a ton of minutes. I mean, when your leaders don't play defense, it's so tough. And then your other leader in Andre, he's the only guy trying to play defense, and it's not like, he's a lockdown rim protector or anything like that. But he's the only guy actively trying to play defense, and that's why he gets in so much foul troubles, because no one else even thinks about playing defense. It's all about throwing an alley-oop, catching a dunk, hitting a step-back 3. They don't have the will and the drive to play defense, and that's a problem. You have to have someone who is at least trying to be a leader defensively. We don't have that right now in Blake or Andre. So if they are on the trade block, because we kind of got off on a little rant there, what are we expecting to get in return? Well, I've kind of talked about this a little bit. We gave up a ton for Blake Griffin. We traded Tobias Harris. They were talking about him making the All-Star team if Pistons had more wins that season. So he's a borderline All-Star. He's just one of those guys who's just not quite there, especially being like the 3rd option in Philly. But he's a great player, and I loved him, and I missed him. We gave up a 1st-round pick. Turned out to be a pretty decent point guard. And then we give up Boban and Avery Bradley, which, I'm not really too concerned about either of those ones because, Bradley was a disappointment and Boban didn't really get a whole lot of minutes. He was just superly tall. Great guy to have in the locker room. But we're not going to get a Tobias Harris and a 1st-round draft pick in return for Blake Griffin. In the stock market, you're supposed to buy low and sell high. We bought high, and we're going to have to sell low here. So we're not going to get a lot in return for Blake Griffin if he does become available via trade. For Andre, that's a different question. Because the teams that are interested in him, they got some nice young pieces, but, they don't really, there's not really anyone out there that's going to take that spot. Because I really don't want to trade Andre Drummond away and be stuck with no center. Because I like Christian Wood, but he's really a power forward. And dear baby Jesus, if I have to see Thon Maker start at center again, I am going to lose it. I do not want that to be the case. Not saying that we can't get another center in return, but we have to look at this one of 2 ways. Either you sign Andre Drummond or you don't. And if you don't, if he doesn't want to be here, then you have no choice but to trade him, which sucks because I don't want to trade Andre. I certainly don't want to pay him the Supermax, but I don't want to trade Andre because he is a good piece to have. And I know a lot of you guys don't like Andre because you guys tell me every single day, but he is a top 3, top 4 center in the league. You have to pay him as one, which, like I keep saying, is between that $20 to $25 million a year mark. There's not too many centers that I'd rather have over Andre. Now, the centers have kind of dwindled out as the years have gone on, and they've kind of changed with shooting threes and playmaking and stuff like that. But if he doesn't want to be here, he needs to let us know. We can't afford him just to walk. Because a lot of you guys who would say he sucks are going to be super mad if he walks and we get nothing in return. Because deep down inside, he produces. He may not produce the 2020 games every game like you want him to, but he is a producer and he is a big guy to have on the team. The Pistons go and live and die by Andre Drummond. If Andre's killing it, so are we. If he's not playing or if he's in foul trouble, whatever it may be, we look like a completely different team. The Pistons right now, they need an Andre Drummond. They can't win anything without an Andre Drummond, at least for a long stint of time. They might win a game here or there. I still can't believe how we beat the Houston Rockets without Blake or without Andre. That still baffles me. But, I mean, you've seen it the other night against the Wizards. We could have desperately used Andre, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You know, it seems one week we talk good about the Pistons and the next we're talking bad about them. They're just playing super inconsistent right now. It's what happens when you give a lot of young people minutes. And if you trade Blake Griffin, it means that it's telling me that you believe in Sekou. Which, after watching Sekou play in the G League a little bit this week and the last week before that, I don't know if he's really ready to be in the NBA yet. You know, he's only 18. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on. I know people want to see him play right now, and I do too. You know, I would love for him to be able to start right now and run Rookie of the Year, you know, all that good stuff. But if the guy's not ready, there's no sense in rushing him, because if you rush him too quickly, you could ruin him. You know, coming from a different country is tough. You know, people like Luka make it look so easy, and a lot of people compare Sekou and Luka in the fact that they've been playing in the pros since they were teenagers. It's the case, but they put in two different leagues. You know, not every player is the same. You know, for example, LeBron and Thon Maker play in the same league doesn't mean they're the same player. Absolutely could not be further apart. But that's kind of what that comparison's like, you know. Again, I'm not calling either one of them LeBron. I'm not calling either one of them Thon. Just that everyone has a different pace in what they grow in. But trading Blake Griffin would let me know that they have faith in Sekou, which they really haven't shown me that they have faith in Sekou yet. So we're going to have to see. Again, I don't know what we'll get in return. If we trade Andre, because I never really covered it, I'm looking for a draft pick and a very good young talent. You know, a young, promising talent. Because I don't think anyone's going to overpay, because they know that Andre is probably going to walk out on them. Especially if he goes to Charlotte. I heard Dallas was very interested in him, but I think Dallas is going to be more of a factor come free agency. You know, they don't really have a lot of pieces to offer us that I'm interested in. You know, they got a good squad over there, but they're really just role players outside of Luka, Porzingis, and Tim Hardaway. You know, Seth's a nice player and all, but it's not really worth Andre Drummond, is he? I don't think so. I don't think they want to part Seth with Seth. So I don't know what they would offer us. But Andre would be a great fit for him. And I really expect Boston and Dallas to go hard, at Andre Drummond in free agency. Those are two different markets, but they will have no problem paying Andre. So if you're going to keep Andre, you're going to have to pay him. If not, I hate to say it, but you're going to have to trade him. You can't just let Andre walk. So it's a tough place to be for the Pistons front office. I do not envy anyone in that position, because it is a very hard choice they have to make. But let's put you guys in the GM shoes. What would you guys do with Blake and Andre? Now, recently a lot of you guys have been saying trade Blake, which I'm fine with. Blake's done a lot for this city. You know, he's a good guy off the court, done a lot for kids of Detroit. He's a good guy to have on the team, but we're trying to win games, man. And when you just can't count on somebody like that, it's tough. It's sad to watch, because we all know how Blake was for us last year when he was healthy. He was the man. You know, he was Blake Griffin. It's just tough to watch him, man. It's sad to watch. I hate to see great players go down like this, but it happens. So we'll have to see where this goes, but leave it down in the comments. Instagram, Twitter, DSA members in the description. DSA Roundtable is on Luke G's channel tonight at 8 p.m., so come over and check that out. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow with the pregame for the Raptors and the Pistons. Peace.